In this video we've got an accidentally vegan recipe, one of my favourite kinds of vegan recipes where you don't necessarily mean it to be vegan but it ends up being vegan. So we've got butternut squash, Cavolo Nero and Freekeh in a beautiful warm salad. Let's get into the kitchen and let's get cooking. Put your butternut squash into a roasting pan, and with that we want around about a teaspoon of cumin seeds, and about a teaspoon of ground cinnamon as well. And then with our orange, we can grate some of the zest of the orange. And we want the juice of the orange as well. So we can take our knife, carefully cut the orange in half, and then squeeze all of that juice on top of the butternut squash. We'll give that a good mix around to make sure that everything's covered in the spices, everything's got that orange zest and the orange juice. And then what we do is we get a bit of foil and place this over the top, making sure that it's sealed around the edges. And this will go into an oven at 180 Celsius for around about 25 to 30 minutes. We have about 150 grams of Freekeh. Now this is a kind of cereal. It's green durum wheat which has been smoked and then the husks have been taken off. We need to boil it down for quite a while. It'll take 15 or 20 minutes. So we'll get this into our saucepan with around about a half a litre of water. And just a splash of olive oil, around about a tablespoon at the most. And that will have the lid put on it and it will go on to simmer. So bring it out from cold to simmer for around about 15 to 20 minutes. And we've got some Cavolo Nero, which we can take the stalk off with a knife, just running it down either side of the stalk there. And then with our Cavolo Nero, we can just take pieces which are a couple of centimetres long and just rip them into rough pieces. Now our squash has been cooking for around about 25 minutes. We can take about a quarter of it and set it aside for our dressing. And then with the rest of it, we can take our Cavolo Nero and we can just mix that in. This will go back into the oven for around about 5 minutes for the Cavolo Nero to wilt down a bit and to go a little bit crispy as well. For our dressing, we have that quarter of the squash that we've put in our jug already, and to that we're going to add around about a tablespoon and a half, maybe 2 tablespoons of tahini. So that's a sesame paste. So that's 1. We'll add just a little bit more. 2 tablespoons of tahini. We want around about a tablespoon of olive oil. And about a tablespoon of white wine vinegar as well. Get that tahini off the spoon. We'll add a quick pinch of salt. And a grind of black pepper as well. And then with our stick blender, we just want to blend it so that it all comes together. Now our freekeh's cooked and drained, we can take our dressing and just place this straight on top of the freekeh. And we can give this a bit of a stir around. And from the oven we can get our butternut squash and cavolo nero. So the butternut squash has cooked through completely and the cavolo nero has kind of wilted down. Some of it's a little bit crispy. So what we can do is just put all of this into our bowl, making sure we get all of those bits, and then give this all another stir just to combine everything together. And now to serve, I've got this big white plate. And I just need to make sure that I get some of absolutely everything. Some of that butternut squash, the freekeh, and some of that cavolo nero. And to garnish, we've got some walnuts, which have been baked in the oven at 180 for around about 10 minutes, just drizzled with a little bit of agave syrup, a little splash of water, and some sea salt. So what we'll do is we'll take some of these, we'll just break them in and around the plate. Finally, we've got some pomegranate jewels. So again, just a sprinkling of these, just to bring a pop of flavour, a little extra zing of juiciness to the dish. And that's our warm salad of butternut squash, cavolo nero and freekeh. If you want to know how to prepare your butternut squash, then you should watch this video here, where I quickly run through how to peel a butternut squash and then chop it ready for roasting. And this video here is the one that YouTube thinks that you should watch next. We can get our, what is it? Butternut squash.